Hey everybody, welcome to RotoWire Fantasy Sports. No. Hey everybody, welcome to Gaming Golf. You can tell it's a morning episode and I'm just on autopilot still. Sorry guys. Welcome to Gaming Golf. It is the Valspar edition. We're all messed up because the TPC I think just ended about 4 minutes ago. And you know, it's just crazy trying to turn around and get ready for the Valspar going tomorrow. We're doing a Wednesday morning podcast instead of our usual Tuesday afternoon one because of Monday's late finish. Guys, let's start with TPC. Big takeaways from that besides weather sucks. Jeff Ritter, you first.
I mean, takeaway is a lot of randomness had a lot to do with that one. You know, it's like I feel like we got a day and a half worth of real Players Championship, and you know that wave that was just blown off course. I mean, Justin Thomas played his butt off in those conditions. Colin Morikawa got washed away and missed It's just a weird. There's just a lot of weirdness for that unlucky wave, and it's hard to know what to take away from it heading into this week. And if it turned out to be a very difficult week to bet because so much just went, randomly sideways on you. So it's hard to really know what to take away other than Cam Smith is a very rich man now and, on maybe a new career trajectory for himself. But it was fun to watch. Monday felt flat, but overall, that tournament was defined by the weather for me.
Three super fast takeaways. One is I have to remember when I look back at this tournament to throw out the stats because usually he's playing really well. And I think the guys in the bad wave you can't even look at that stuff. And you look at Morikawa and Xander and some of those guys that just got washed away. It was brutal. My second is I've never seen a tournament more affected by, which wave of AM, PM you're in. We saw it. Jeff and I were talking, we had lunch the other day. We were talking I think Torrey Pines, 4 or 5, 6, 7 years ago when Brent Snedeker won and finished at 3 hours before everybody else and the wind came up, the last thing I can remember. But I mean, it was strictly what wave you were in. You mentioned Justin Thomas. There were very few guys that actually, came through that unscathed. And my third is my must play last week. Max Homa was in the bad wave and still ended up pretty well. So I'm going to take a little bit of credit for that. But Jeff's right. It was an impossible week to bet. If you had to have the right side, but if you played DraftKings, we talked early in the show last week, with the weather coming, if you play a bunch of lineups, make sure you go with, a couple in the morning wave, a couple in the late wave. There was no way to know which wave was going to get hit because of all the delays. But one wave had a huge edge, and that was a big difference maker if you played DraftKings.
I only played one lineup, and that was a mistake because that lineup was almost exclusively in the bad wave. I had 2 of 6 make the cut, and then Billy Ho withdrew after the cut. I'm still not sure what happened there, but
there were so many great players in that wave that got smoked. It was just so many of the marquee names were right there.
And I used Billy Ho in one and done. My only takeaway is at least I didn't burn Morikawa. So I got that going for me.
My takeaway there is that if you play one and done, make sure you play on one of the sites that's an alternate pick. Because Hideki was my pick, and it's crazy. Usually I get one withdrawal a year in DraftKings or one and done. I've had now with Patrick and Hideki. I've had 2 in the last 4 weeks. So hopefully I've got those out of my system. Both on the East Coast too. So I woke up and it was already too late to make changes. But I had Hideki in my main DraftKings lineup, so it was kind of dead on arrival. So I kind of checked out. Keegan late on Monday made it a little bit fun that I tuned back in, but it was I was Bill Belichick on to Valspar pretty early last week.
Yeah, me too. In season long league, I had my 2 main horses are Hideki and Brooks, and that went pretty well. So
that's rough.
Don't listen to me. Basically, is what I'm trying to tell you here. Let's move on. Let's talk about this week's Valspar here. There were some withdrawals, but it's still a pretty good lineup here, I think, all things considered. I think the Honda wanted to move away from being behind the TPC. This tournament, the Valspar's got a better field, I think, than the Honda did.
Especially at the top. There's a lot. I mean, the top 5 guys. I mean, we got really big. It kind of gets a little thin in the middle, and I think the depth of the field is not fantastic, but the top end of the field is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that you wouldn't think the end of the Florida swing was going to be this good, especially coming off the Players Championship that wouldn't end. But I'm surprised. So many guys have stayed in this one, and it does make for a more fun week for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do what we do going through the field here. Let's go through the 5-digit guys. Justin Thomas at 11,000, Victor Hovland 10,8, Colin Morikawa 10,7, Xander 10,3. DJ 10-2. Scott, your take on this group?
Wild ride. We have Victor Hovland under 10-1 this week. That is he's reached to the elite of the betting world there too. I think this is it's a field where does get thin late. So I think you pretty much have to take one of these guys and figure out who you think is going to win. That's obviously easier said than done. I really like Morikawa this week. I like that he didn't make the cut last week. I like that he got some rest. He didn't finish on Monday like some of these guys. This course is very difficult. You have to hit a lot of long irons really well. I think it kind of lines up for him to be really good this week. They've gained 7.7 tee to green at Genesis, 5.4 Century. Tee to green is my key stat this week, even more than approach like it normally is. So I love Morikawa this week at 10-7. I mean, you can't argue against any of these guys, but I think if you want to get different, I think a lot of people will start with Hovland or Morikawa. I think those are the buzzy names this week. I really like Xander at 10-3. He was another guy who was on the bad side of the wave, but was playing really well prior to the weather coming in last week. Played well the first round. 13th and a third his last couple of weeks. Really nice tee to green numbers. I think at 10-3, I think you get Xander at a price that's expensive, but is going to be a little bit overlooked, especially with DJ right underneath him with a 63 on Sunday. So I think Xander's kind of the game theory play up here, and I think Morikawa is the overall best play.
Well,
Jeff?
it's rare. It's rare that I've had an opportunity to fade Colin Morikawa like I did often early last year when we were getting this podcast going before he took his run up the rankings and proved me wrong week after week. But I would stay off of Morikawa this week. I know it was a weird week, weather, it just seemed blown out of there. But I don't know. When you're talking about the top tier players, I might just take a week off of Colin Morikawa, especially like Scott said, he's probably going to be one of the most played guys off of this tier. I might just lean towards a guy who just is coming in with a little more momentum. And I think if you're going to pay up, I might pay up for Justin Thomas this week, who put on a stripe show. It didn't really necessarily pay off for him in the end, but I think he leaves Sawgrass with a lot of confidence. But to be honest, I probably fade the tier. There's a couple guys in the 9,000s I like more as far as building a roster. But I'll go on the record and say it's a fade. And maybe I'm just bitter because I had Morikawa in my one and done last week, and what a time to lose, top player. But I would fade him this week. I'm off Morikawa. And,
what do you guys make out of DJ with a closing 63 on Sunday? He was way out of it, and that got him the 9th. But any momentum here?
I like those confidence building, final rounds. And DJ is really, it feels like he's kind of drifted, since his last win. I can't even really think of a time where he's been close. I don't know that there's any scar tissue from the last year of Dustin Johnson. He's just kind of been around. So I don't know. I think Dustin Johnson could be a sneaky good play. I'm glad you brought that up. I would probably actually at the price play him over Morikawa this week in daily fantasy.
This course sets up really well for him. Long par threes and par fives. I mean, it's a weird course. There's 4 par fives and 5 par threes, but it sets up really well for him. He's one of the best players on long par threes in the whole tour. He might be number 1. He's right up there. I just don't know how much of that Sunday was, I'm out of it. Let's kind of let it loose and see what happens.
Right.
But it's tough. I mean, he doesn't have a top 5 since he won the Masters in the end of 2020. So it's a weird long stretch of, a guy who had a win every single year forever and ever. Did not even have a top 5 all of last year. But I have him in our season long league, so I certainly hope this is a moment where he's turned it around. So I'm optimistic, but I'd play Xander and Colin instead.
Okay. Good to know on that. Let's go to the 9,000s real quick here. Louis at 99, Hatton 98, Lowry 97, Sam Burns 96, Paul Casey is withdrawn. Brooks Koepka 94, Abe Answer, I haven't heard that name in a while, 93, Jason Kokrak 92, Tommy Fleetwood 91, and Matt Fitzpatrick at 9,000. Jeff Ritter, who do you like in this group?
I start with Lowry, who's just kind of going along, racking up top 20s, top 10s everywhere he plays lately. Dunking aces along the way and just having a blast. If you want to jump on the train, is a fun guy to watch, fun guy to root for. And he really is. He's playing his best golf since his British Open win a few years ago. So I'm on Lowry this week. I also think I'm acutely following Sam Burns since he's on my season log team, and he's about the only player giving my team any life or keeping it out of the basement in our season long league. But Burns is a defending champion here. This is where he got his first PGA Tour win. He's playing better. He was a 36-hole leader at the Players, so I like him as well. And I also flagged Matt Fitzpatrick, but I'm sure Scott's going to talk about him, so I'll defer. But I would start with Lowry and Burns off this tier. I like them both a lot.
I think this is where the field gets a little weird because I don't love this tier. I think the 10s are so much better than the 9s, and I just not a lot of these guys I really want to pay up for. I think I'll go 10s and drop down to the 8s, but I do really, really like Shane Lowry. He's the one that's easily my favorite in this group. Just playing great golf. I think he has 6 straight top 25s. You kind of count his around the world, his European events, but hitting the ball really well. 13th the players, gained 5.7 tee to green, gained 10.1 tee to green in the Honda, a tournament that we know he probably should have won if it wasn't for the deluge at the end there. I do like Fitzpatrick. I think you can throw out last week. He had 3 straight top 10s, and then he got in the wrong side of the wave again. One of those guys last week. So I think at 9,000, he works. I don't know where I never know in tournaments like this where Brooks's motivation is. Like he come out here and win. He could come out here and miss the cut by 4 shots. Like it's just so hard to know. I think if you want to play Brooks, I think he's more of a guy you bet this week because the win equity is always there. But at 9,400, I just don't trust the fact that if he's kind of middling in the middle of Thursday, maybe he just goes operation shutdown and goes Derek Bell on us and disappears for a while. But I think he's more of a betting guy than a DK guy. But I'm gonna go Lowry this week a lot and a little bit of Fitzpatrick.
All right. Jason Day leads off the 8,000. It's a pretty small tier. J Day's at 89, Bubba's at 88, Alex Noren's at 87. Harold Varner, 86, Gary Woodland, 85, Keegan Bradley, 84, Webb Simpson, 83, Kisner, 82, Russell Knox, 81, Cameron Tringali, 8,000. Scott Jenstad, we start with you. You don't like the 9s. Do you like the 8s?
I love the 8s. There are 3 guys here I really, really like this week. I'm going to start. So I'll go monetarily down. The first guy I really like this week is Alex Noren at 8,700. Just really good ball striking numbers the last 2 tournaments. You look at the players, he was 26, but gained 6 shots tee to green, 5 shots on approach. Honda, he finished 5th, played really well, gained 6.7 tee to green, 5.4 on approach. He's gained tee to green and approach in the last 5 tournaments this year. The only time he didn't play well this year was at the first event he played at the Amex. He missed the cut there, but since then, 5 straight really good ball striking weeks. 2 top 6s in the last 4 weeks. So I really like Noren's form right now. 8,700, a very playable price to me. To no one's surprise, I'm going to go back to my boy again, Keegan Bradley, 8,400. I mean, he was 6,900 last week and finished 5th and had a chance to win. I mean, he blew it. He went double and then bogey on the last 2 holes after playing really well in the last round. He was balling, and then he kind of moved up and then back a little bit, but he was only 7% rostered in DraftKings last week, which I found shocking at 6,900. I thought he was going to be all over tournaments. He was on the team that won the Millie Maker, so obviously he worked out well, but hit it incredibly well at the players. He gained 11.4 tee to green. That led the entire field. He was gained 5.5 off the tee. That was 5th in the whole tournament. Lost a little bit putting, but kind of kept it okay. Lost 1.1. So when he does that, he's playing well. He was 2nd here last year, so we got some good course history. One of these weeks, Keegan's going to let us down, but 6 straight made cuts, 3 top 12s in that stretch. Obviously the price is up, but I really like him this week. And my last guy in this range, sorry to go fast, Russell Knox at 8,100, another guy who's just playing solidly right now. He was 6th of the players, gained 7.9 tee to green, gained on approach also. He's gained on approach and tee to green 5 straight weeks. All those are made cuts. His price moved up too. We talked about him last week also. He's 8,100 now, but if you take the last 24 rounds, he's 4th this entire field in tee to green. Give me a guy who's playing well, off a really good week last week, and I'll take it every time. So I do like those 3 guys a lot this week.
Russell Knox is 1st in the field in greens and regs so far this season.
Love it.
75.6%. So that's a stat I was kind of searching by to begin with here this time around.
I like
Jeff Ritter. Who do you like in this group?
Knox is a great pick. I didn't think you were going to go there. I knew I had the Keegan Bradley music queued up for you here in Texas. But
I saw you queuing it even. I saw that.
I think you'd pretty much nailed it. I would say Kevin Kisner is interesting. Guys who take momentum out of Sawgrass is interesting. I don't think this is a great course for Kevin Kisner, but certainly I always like the grits. Well, I've got him on my season-long team. I'm going to play him this week, but at that price, he's interesting to me, but I like Bradley. Just jumps off the page as underpriced, and probably an example of DraftKings setting these prices before the Monday finish was in the book. So, and Russell Knox, I also agree. So the only one I would add maybe as a contrarian play would be Kisner if you just like trying a momentum play out of this tier.
How do you guys feel about Bubba? Played pretty well on the bad wave last week, and has really good course history here. I think he's finished top 15 the last 2 years.
I'm not against it.
Yeah, same. It's hard I just have a hard time, honestly, outside of Augusta. I've just gotten sort of trained over the years of his, he's very up and down. Unless it's Riv, he's got a few other honey tracks, but this might be one of them. That's a good call and probably worth a look as well.
Yeah, I kind of went off. I mean, he kind of faded last week after he did hang in there. But you talk about Bubba, Bubba Corsas, and he finished 4th here in 2019, 13th in 2021. So I took a quick look. I don't love the current form enough, so I don't think I'm going there this week. But I know he's got a little bit of buzz this week in the DFS industry.
I can see it. Let's before we hit the 7,000s and 6,000s, a quick note from our Blue Wire sponsors. Thank you to the Blue Wire Network for hosting our podcasts. All right, we're tackling the very big $7,000 tier, and as tradition holds, I'm not going to go name every player in it. We're just going to go right to Jeff Ritter and say, who do you like? I will. Let's break it in halves. Go top half of the 7,000s and then bottom half of the 7,000s. You can do both now, though.
So I would start at 7,900. I think. Where'd he go? Hadwin. Another guy, just sneaky top 10 last week, striking the ball well. Also had a good putting week, which I know sometimes Scott flags that as a stay away, but I think the ball striking was there as well with Hadwin. So again, looking for someone taking some momentum right up the highway, right down the highway or across the highway, I guess, in the state of Florida.
There's a lot of highways involved.
I like Hadwin a lot. Aaron Wise, same thing. Good ball striking week. Didn't putt a lick, but maybe the tee degree game could translate here in Tampa. So those would be the two guys off the upper 7,000s I'd be looking at.
I'm with you on Aaron Wise this week a lot. At 7,700, like you mentioned, the ball striking, he hit it really well the last couple of weeks. He was gained 10.6 tee degree at API and then 6.4 at the Players. 2 really bad putting weeks, like bad. He lost 5 strokes and 4.4 strokes. And before that, he had a run of like kind of being an average putter. So I'm hoping he can find that, but I do like him. At 7,900, I think Hadwin makes sense. And you are right. He did have a good ball striking week to go with the putting last week. But I think I go back to, podcast favorite Seabez this week at 7,900. I think he's, off 2 top 25s, pretty good ball striking weeks at Honda and API, at least off tee degree. He struggled in Honda in the approach game. But I think he's workable. But Wise is my favorite guy in this 75 to 8,000 range.
All right. How about the 7,000 to 7,400 range? Who do you guys like?
So I picked up Adam Svensson in our season-long league in a move that no doubt sent shockwaves across the entire email group when that happened. And I looked up, I just saw that he's been making a bunch of cuts, and I remember he popped up on a leaderboard there a few weeks ago. And I looked up the stats, and he's a below-average ball striker and a below-average putter and below-average distance off the tee. So what does that leave us? I said, guy just knows how to make money. He's just making money. So I figure if he can improve on any aspect of his game, he's probably going to finish in the top 15 again. So anyway, I wanted to fill out a full roster this week. I had an opening, and so I put Svensson on the squad. So I'll flag him for the people. My season log team is in, I believe, 14th place out of 15 entries. So the people can do with that information what they will. But Svensson is my latest addition.
It can move fast. I was 14th last week, and now I'm 6th.
Yeah, no, it's volatile.
Well, and anytime you can get a Canadian who has a Swedish sounding name, you do it. I think that's just the rule of thumb.
Is he really Canadian?
He is Canadian.
I did not.
Dead.
I just really assumed he was Swedish. Yeah. Wow.
I did too. I made that mistake once. All right, Scott, who do you like in this group?
I really like at 7,300, Matthias Schwab, coming off some good current form. He played in the alt event a couple weeks ago, played in Puerto Rico, finished 7th there, gained nicely kind of overall, and then played really well at Honda before that. He gained 5.8 tee shots, tee to green, finished 7th at Honda. A guy that I liked last year. He played pretty well. He was 8th in the Korn Ferry Championship in September. Had another top 5 in the Korn Ferry. He's kind of been like getting there to the PGA Tour and not quite making it. I like the current form here at 7,300. It's hard to find guys down here this week. Everybody's got some scars down when you get to this point. The field definitely thins out down here. But I do like Schwab. He's made all 3 of his cuts in 2020 on the PGA Tour. Gained well at Honda, like I said. So I think he's playable. I'd probably go back to our old buddy Mito Pereira this week. I know last week was rough at the Players, but he's 7,100. If you look at just shots gained, treated green, and kind of narrow it down by the last 24 rounds, he jumps up on those stats really well. He's 6th in the whole field in that stat. That's one that I'm really looking at this week. Had a couple of top 30s before the Players when he just could not putt. The putter was horrible, the Players, but cheap players are tough this week, and I think Pereira is workable at 7,100, but I really do like Schwab at 7,200, my favorite in the range.
I like Joel Damon at 7,100, another good greens and red guy. 4 solid rounds, nothing special at the Players last week.
Make sure you don't drop in the wrong place. Though.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was going for. It's not the first time, by the way, that Damon has been involved in an incident like that. He was also the guy that flagged Sung Kang, I think, that one tournament, right?
I think you're right, because they actually had a back and forth on Twitter for a while. Yeah, I remember
great
that.
memory. That's a great call. I forgot about
great
that.
Call.
Yeah, he's a protector of the game. I like that. So
I liked how Hovland he was kind of told he's like, I'm not okay with this, and I thought Berger kind of seemed whiny through the whole thing, and I'm kind of over Daniel Berger for the moment.
Yeah, he just missed another.
If that is the case, I do have. If you want to have a weekly Patrick Reed trade-off,
I'm not trading you Berger for Patrick Reed. No.
All right. Just when you say you're over, to me that felt like a discount opportunity. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Is Reed down in the 6,000s yet?
He made a cut. He made the cut last week. So
he did.
There's much rejoicing. Yay! All right, 6,000s bargain bin. Who do you guys like?
I flagged our man Smotherman, a great name for a pro golfer. Still like the statistical profile. I still think he's out there quietly making some money. Maybe it's becoming a little bit less quiet as we talk about him. And I feel like he's starting to stick out in this tier as somebody who's becoming a value. And then I just wanted to look back at Kramer Hickok as a guy who popped up at Sawgrass again. I mean, you're just looking for hope at this price range. Same thing. It's a guy who maybe found something in Sawgrass and can take it across the state of Florida. So those were my 2 picks, but I would probably just go one off this tier and try to build in those 8s and 7,000s this week.
It's a tough range. We just want a guy that makes a cut, but I have 2 guys that I think I'm going to sprinkle in some lineups. The first is actually Vaughn Taylor. He's 6,700, made 4 straight cuts, finished 7th at Puerto Rico. He played in the alt event a few weeks ago also. But gained tee to green in 7 straight tournaments, gained an approach in 7 of 8. So he is, he's not, off the page gained, but gaining in those metrics every week. And I think that's a pretty good spot this week where you're really going to have to play well in those spots. I think he's a guy that you want to, make the cut, finish 33rd or something like that will really help your lineup, help you get some of those 5-digit guys in your lineup. And the other one is a recent form play, and it's Kurt Kitayama, who we saw finish 3rd at Honda and played really well. You look at the metrics. I mean, gained 7.7 tee to green, 7.1 approach, did putt really well. But you like to see those guys that kind of flash up the board. You want to see where it's backed up by some really good ball striking, not just a weird around the green week or something like that. And Kitayama really hit it well. Backed it up with a 28th at Puerto Rico. It wasn't great, but I like the fact that guy kind of flashes, makes his first big top 3 there, and then he still makes the cut a week after. I really like to see that you kind of building on that. We talked about that with Cameron Young a couple times. I like that. I know Kitayama had missed 5 cuts prior to Honda, but I think he's playing really well right now, and obviously it's a play where just the price comes into factor. And 6,500, I think is a guy that can make the cut and maybe get you a top 25.
All right, very good. I know we got a hard out with Scott, so let's hustle on and get into the betting sheet. Jeff Ritter, who are your bets this week?
I see Keegan at 40-1, and I like that. I knew Scott would be all over him and salute him properly in the earlier stage, but I think that's a great price for someone that could have won the Players playing off the tougher waves. So I'm on Keegan Bradley. I also Shane Lowry. I show him 20-1. It's a little shorter odds than I'd like, but I really like him a lot this week, as we mentioned earlier. And then maybe, you kind of talked me into Russell Knox as you were, the stats are even more compelling than I realized. So I see him at 60-1, and I like that a lot too. Those are my 3.
Yeah, there's actually some interesting ones this week just because the top 5 guys kind of suck all the value out of this field. So you get a lot of guys that are a little bit deeper. I really like Shane Lowry too, 30-1. I see 30-1 on DraftKings. So definitely in on that. Keegan's 50-1 there, at least when I looked this morning. So that's an auto play right there. He's probably going to drop, but if you get him at 50, I think you got to play a guy who's playing that well. I really like Alex Noren at 455 to 1, so I'm going to be taking that one. I think he's got a chance to win this week. You mentioned Knox 70 to 1. I like that. And then I'm going to drop back all the way back a couple bucks on Matthias Schwab as 150 to 1. So a lot of plays kind of down the board. And then I'm going to take one guy at the top. I haven't figured out if it's going to be Morikawa or Xander yet. I think I'm going to kind of see how the odds lay out, but I think I'm going to I just saw Morikawa at 14 to 1. I think he's in a week where, there's enough guys kind of down the board. I throw a couple bucks on. I think I'll throw a decent bet on Morikawa this week. I think he's got a really good chance. I really like how his game matches up here. So if I can get 14 to 1, I think I'm going to play that and play one of the favorites this week.
Are we finding that the sites are slower to post win odds this week too? I've noticed.
Yeah, it was. I think everybody was trying to figure out what was going on. I've never seen DraftKings this late with pricing. It's just so many guys dropped out. Casey dropped out. Neiman, I think, dropped out too. It was just Jeff mentioned there's like the 14th guy on the alt list is going to make this tournament. So it's been weird, but it should be fun. We got a lot of good names in here. It's a lot of interesting stories.
I hope one of those 14 guys makes a run. I always root for the story there as far as that goes. Finally, one and done. What do we got this week? Scott, you first this week.
Tough. I'm back and forth between a couple of guys, but I think I'm going to take I'm not going to take an elite guy, but I think I'm going to take the guy who I think has the best chance to win the next tier. I'm going to go Shane Lowry in one and done this week. I think it's nice. I'm glad Erickson went to me first. I finally got one in there on you. But I thought about Keegan, but I think Lowry's the guy in the second tier that has the best chance to win this tournament.
All right, fine. I was gonna go Lowry, but
you can still go Lowry.
It's bad.
Okay.
I think it's bad karma. The one time we did this was the Zalatoris disaster. I don't know.
He responded by missing 35 5-foot putts that week. So yeah,
I enjoy rooting for Shane Lowry, whether he's my one and done pick for the week or not. I'm gonna go Keegan Bradley. Those were my two for the value. I'm totally with you on staying off the top tier this week. It's it's nice to have those guys in the field, but it feels like a week to just take a break from the top tier. So I'll go Keegan.
I will say, I think those guys will be popular. If you are behind in your pool and you want to get sneaky and maybe find someone that could win that nobody has, I think Alex Noren is a really good play this week too. So if you're behind, I think Lowry and Keegan are probably going to be pretty popular after the top guys. But I think Noren's a guy that is playing really well that I don't think will be highly rostered in one and dones.
Yeah, and on the same sort of vein, I think I'm going to go Russell Knox this week.
Like it,
and be a little different. Because I know I need to be different in our one and done pool. I'm way behind now. So, good times. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks everybody for listening to us, watching us, and indulging our different start time. Good luck in the Valspar this week. We'll be back at you again next week. Take care.